Hello, my name is John Diorio, and tonight I'm going to be speaking to you about assistive technology in education. In 2001, the National Center for Education Statistics released a report that surveyed disabled students and found a range of 55 to 64% of them were using assistive technology. While the report is very much dated, the numbers they put out are still noteworthy. I would infer that with contemporary advances in technology, the number in that report has increased considerably over time. According to the Assistive Technology Industry Association, assistive technology refers to products, systems, services, and equipment that enhance living, working, and learning for persons with disabilities. Assistive technology comes in all shapes and sizes. It can be high tech, low tech. It can be a piece of hardware or a computer program, or even something the teacher creates in their own classroom and planning. There are several types of assistive technology, including those that handle mobility, vision, hearing, speech, learning, daily living, transportation, and other things. For the purposes of this recording, we will be focusing on educational applications of assistive technology. Assistive technology can be used in the classroom to address several different sets of issues. For our recording, I'll be highlighting 3 different types of assistive technology and how they may be used in the classroom. First, I'll be speaking on AAC, or Augmentative and Alternative Communication. AAC is an umbrella term for products and equipment that help students with various issues to communicate and express themselves both as people and as students for effective learning. AAC products can be as involved and integrated into the curriculum as something like an iPad with specific software, or as low tech as something with, cardboard, and that you could have stickers or visuals on there for the student. I think AAC in any capacity is highly useful for students with disabilities. It allows students to mitigate some anxiety they may feel about communicating as a student, or take steps to develop the communication skills they'll need to further integrate into the general education classroom. I also think it's important to note the multifaceted uses of AAC equipment. AAC can be used to assist a variety of issues, including hearing loss, sensory issues such as autism spectrum disorder, and motor issues such as cerebral palsy. In addition to AAC, there are other assistive technologies that serve to streamline communication processes for students with disabilities. One important piece of assistive technology that I want to note are refreshable braille displays. Refreshable braille displays allow students with vision impairments to seamlessly explore the internet and take in computer information. These devices allow for increased independence among students, especially in classes such as technology, where you're learning both specific topic stuff and online internet literacy and etiquette. Being able to operate independently is so important for these students. For example, a refreshable braille display device can be connected to a tablet like an iPad or an Amazon Fire tablet or any one of them. And if you're doing reading for a class, it would be able to take the text that's on the screen and transfer it to the braille device for independent reading for the student. These devices have many obvious benefits, but the main downside to these devices is price. In my own research, I found that on the low end of things, they cost several $1,000s, and on the high ends of things, tens of thousands of dollars. I would like to see these further integrated into classrooms where needed, because they are really very much helpful to these students. The devices themselves look almost like those pianos that play automatically. I don't mean to sound crass in my example, but the display is kind of such that you would be feeling the rotating display. But it is important for these students to be able to do that, and I would like to see them further integrated into the classroom where needed. The third piece of technology that I'm going to talk about is called Voice Cue by Attainment. Voice Cue is a device that allows for timed reminders throughout the day for students. Among other things, they can be set to a voice, they can be set to a clock or a buzzer. There are 5 slots for reminders for the student throughout the day on the device, and can be activated by the tip of a pen by pressing it in like that, or being set to a timer. This type of device is very much useful for integrating students further into the general education curriculum by providing a certain scaffold, if you will, to their day, and adding a little bit of a layer to things so that they're on task and they stay focused as we go on. Students with things like ADHD can often get antsy or uncomfortable if they're doing the same thing for too long, or just sitting still, or if they don't have the structure and are allowed to have their minds wander. But as a student with ADHD, I think a device like this would be very much useful even to adult me, and even more so to students in an elementary setting or a high school setting. While there are several assistive technologies that are highly useful in the classroom, actually being able to implement them is a more in-depth process than one might expect. In order to assess for assistive technology to be utilized in the classroom, general education teachers must work with special education teachers and the rest of the IEP team in order to satisfy certain criteria, in order to see what would be most appropriately used, if anything. And in doing so, there are certain sets of data that are needed. Among the data needed for the IEP meeting would be observations of the special education teacher, as well as any structures or measures they have in place, in addition to the ongoing assessments of the general education teacher, along with observations by the school psychiatrist, parents, thoughts, previous teachers and grades, assessments, current level of assistive technology being used already in the classroom. It's a multifaceted, very much stratified thing, and all of it comes together for to make a precise, informed decision for the best benefit of the student. Among these measures that I find most important are the student's performance in the general education classroom with the current constructs in place. In addition to that, I believe that the depth added by the school psychologist and by parents and previous teachers allow the general education teacher and the special education teacher to really make an informed decision. This data is also put up against guided questions that are used to lead the team to a general answer before they can decide what specific approaches to take. I think this data would help to paint a robust picture for the IEP team to use for the benefit of the student. At the IEP team, in addition to the data being presented, I would also suggest things such as physical environment, and as well as more holistic aspects of management and planning to be considered. I think it is important that as educators, we address needs that support the whole person, not just some sort of pigeonholed specific thing. For example, an environmental consideration one might make in order to best cater to students with disabilities. And I guess you could call it a sort of assistive technology, would be to have those wobbly chairs for sitting when reading. It allows for the movement that some students need, and they may also be able to remain focused while they do it. In trying to figure all of this out, though, questions need to be asked. Questions like, what does the student need to do? Is it a need pertaining to writing, speaking, hearing, seeing, moving, or any other type of issue? From there, you can ask other questions such as, are my present instructional strategies enough, or does something need to be changed? More of these guided questions were found in the Patton video that we watched for this recording. The guided questions are the crux of the IEP meeting portion of discerning what, if any, assistive technology is needed for the student. Like how marketing does focus groups, these guiding questions allow the team to figure out what things support the IEP goals, what type of technology maybe, or how the technology could be applied to specific tasks that promote the goals of the IEP. I think physical environment and instructional setting have a huge portion to play in this. I am of the opinion that addressing this whole person allows us to more easily and with less resistance address the more pressing issues that students may have. And assistive technology is highly useful in achieving these ends, along with other such means, as previously stated. At the end of the IEP meeting, I think the most important thing to consider in terms of assistive technology is to ask whether it really truly gets the student involved in the general education curriculum and augments it more so than they previously were. If it's not exactly measurable or negligible, you might consider other means, but it is very much important to consider how assistive technology will augment the general education curriculum. As a whole, I'd love to see assistive technology incorporated as much as possible into our education system. Obviously, given constraints, it's important to be real, but at the same time, I think it's important to recognize that, but at the same time, it's important for teachers to challenge themselves in order to properly address the needs of the students via assistive technology. Thank you. A list of references will be attached in a file underneath the link to this video.